Hi guys, my name is Oksana and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about all the books I read in the month of January. Typically, the beginning of the year is a hit or miss moment for me. I would love nothing better than to just rot on the couch the entire month, and technically this month I did just that, but with a book in my hand. In January, I read the total of 7 books, which I know is nothing on some of y'all's 20 plus, but I was very content with this number. I'm very proud of myself, and I read some bangers as well. Let's talk about them. The first book I read and finished while I was on an airplane flying from the US to Ukraine. So yes, technically I did start it in 2024, but I make the rules here, so I'm gonna count it as a 2025 read for sure. We're talking about The Understudy by Morgan Richter, which was also my very first ARC that was sent to me kindly for review by NetGalley and the publisher. The Understudy is a story about a young talented opera singer, Kit. She works out of a boutique opera house in New York City, and she knows she's a very good singer. She hits every note, she's very good on technicalities, but she also knows that deep down she's lacking something as a performer to captivate the audience. While Kit is rehearsing for the newest opera called Barbarella, she meets her understudy, Yolanda. If you guys are kind of removed from the theater world just like I am and don't know what understudy is, it's someone who is training or rehearsing alongside the lead actor or performer just in case something happens to them, and then the understudy will come in and perform instead of a lead. Well, when Kit met Yolanda, she did not like her from the beginning. She's like, ooh, this girl is bad news. And she was bad news. You know why? Because she tried poisoning Kit at like page 5. Overall, in my opinion, the story was extremely captivating and interesting all the way until like 40% into the book. After that point, we switched directions. I still don't know why. It felt a little bit confusing. And we went into a completely different story, what felt like for me as a reader. I enjoyed the aspect of Kit and Yolanda being rivals, and I enjoyed, even though it was like unhinged AF, because Yolanda literally tried killing Kit. But nonetheless, it was still interesting to read on the page in the book. But then after 40%, everything became kind of redundant. I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy this book if you're kind of just making yourself familiar with the detective books genre or like thrillers. But if you're a seasoned reader in these specific genres, I don't think this is a book for you. I am once again extremely grateful to be able to review this book, and I truly hope that it will find its audience and will get the love and the praise it deserves. Unfortunately for me personally, it was more of a miss than a hit. Second and third books of January were also read on the same airplane. It was a very long flight, okay? I had to do something. I could not sleep. I almost never sleep on airplanes, which is crazy because I was literally up in the air for like 10 hours. We read the Mindfuck series by S.D. Abbey. I read book 1, The Risk, and book 2, Sidetracked. Now, I've heard so much praise for this specific series. And when I say series, it's not like different books. It's more like novellas, and they are kind of combined into one. I don't even know. The physical book is a combination of 5 different novellas, and they're kind of interconnected, but they don't necessarily follow each other, if that makes sense. I've only read the first 2, and then I stopped. Regardless of all the praise that I've heard, for me personally, I don't think it was anything spectacular. I gave both of them 4 stars because yes, they did keep me awake and they did their job when I was flying. I was extremely tired and needed something to distract me from the fact that I could not move in my seat because the guy in front of me literally laid his seat back all the way. If you're not familiar with the Mindfuck series, it's a dark romance first and foremost. So if you're not into that, or if you're new in this genre, please check trigger warnings because there's literally a whole plethora of them, so it might make someone extremely uncomfortable. We're following serial unaliver. She specifically hunts very specific men that did a really bad thing. And with that, she basically makes a list of her targets and she murders them or kills them in cold blood. And then we follow an FBI agent that is trying to crack the case, who wants to catch said serial unaliver. And then, you know, they're basically playing this cat and mouse game for a very long time. And if that is not messy enough, they do start dating. Now, granted, he does not know that she is someone he's trying to catch. She knows that he's working on her case. It gets very messy very easily, but then nonetheless, you know, you kind of get to know her background. You understand why she's doing this. You also get to know him. But for me, it didn't do what it did for other people. It was still a solid book. I enjoyed it, or I should say a story. It was a solid story. I enjoyed it, but it's nothing to write home about. I don't know, just like another book out there. The next book I picked up when I was already here in Ukraine, and it was a present from my best friend. It's a book by Ukrainian author Katerina Samoilenko, and it's called The Laws of Nevrida. Now, this is actually not the title of the book. It's a translated title of the book. I did the translation. Now, this book I gave 3 stars for. Let me explain something about this book. Was it a good book? No. Did I enjoy it? Also no. It had a lot of plot holes, unfinished details, unanswered questions. It was very repetitive. It had a lot of nuanced, like painfully nuanced world building that was not necessary, and yet I still did not understand how old our main character was. I don't think it was ever mentioned on the page. Despite all of this, this book is extremely important for Ukrainian literature market. If I'm not mistaken, this book is a very first Ukrainian romantasy. Typically, if we're talking about Ukrainian modern authors, they tend to write something about either historical suffering of Ukrainian people, which is a very important topic, don't get me wrong, or Ukrainian mythology and building fantasy elements in the books from there. But there wasn't anything like lighthearted romance type of book, in like romantasy, let alone romantasy, you know. So I'm very happy that this book was written. It's not the best book, like I said, but I hope that there will be others that will follow suit, and there will be so much more to choose from, and there will be really good romantasy books written by Ukrainian authors. Speaking of Ukrainian authors, the next book, book number 5, was also by Ukrainian author. Max Kedruk wrote Don't Look Back and Stay Quiet, which is again my personal translation of the title of the book. This book is a Ukrainian sci-fi novel, and actually my very first sci-fi novel ever. Our main character is a teenage boy. I believe he's 14 or 15 years old, and we follow him through his life with both his parents and a granddad. Now, his grandfather is very interesting. He used to be captain on the ship. He worked on those really big barges. He was at sea for the majority of his life, but now he's living with his son, daughter-in-law, and his grandson. When he has some free time, he teaches his grandson his love and passion for science. Now, the kid in this book is very interesting. He is a science enthusiast. He is not like other teenagers his age, but he unfortunately gets bullied for that as well, because the cool kids in this book, they all are about social media, drugs, alcohol, sex, and things like that. So they make fun of our main character and they bully him extensively in this book, and that kind of leads our main character to be very secluded from everybody else and very shy. One day he sees this girl from his school in his block of flats, and he realizes that they are neighbors. She also has a very tragic background to her family life, so they kind of bond over that a little bit as well. And she decides that she trusts him enough to tell him a story about a magical elevator that's in their building. Obviously, since our boy is like all science and all facts, he's like, this is literally bullcrap. I don't even believe in magic. Like, what magic elevator are you talking about? Where does it lead? She says that it not only exists, but it also takes you to a very special place where time stays still, where you can forget about pain and suffering, and you can just be happy forever. Now, he decides for the hell of it to perform a science experiment and actually like go and see if this place is real. She gives him specific instructions on how to use an elevator to get to that world, and he follows those, and lo and behold, our plot picks up from there. The story was absolutely incredible with a devastating ending. I want to read everything that this author ever put out there because I fell in love with his writing, I fell in love with his character work, and I fell in love with just the ideas that he puts in these books. I swear to God, it's been almost a month since I read this book, and I think about it every single day. The ending of the book left me speechless. I was bawling my eyes out for hours. My mom couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. She literally thought that something bad happened. No, I just finished Don't Look Back and Stay Quiet. After that, I literally had a mental breakdown, and good for you guys because I recorded it and I put it on the internet for all of y'all to see. I read Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. Now, it was released, what, 2 weeks ago now or something? And I still am not over this book. First of all, I am not gonna like intrigue you or anything about my rating. It's a 5-star book for me. I don't think there is a universe out there where I could give it something less than 5 stars. I obviously am not gonna talk about the plot of this book or anything like that because it will be a major spoiler for someone who hasn't read Iron Flame or Fourth Wing yet. What I want to talk to you about is the fact that I don't understand genuinely the hate that this book is getting. People that are saying that the plot is inconsistent, the pacing is too slow, that Rebecca is literally info dumping on us. Did we read the same book? Because every single aspect that y'all are complaining about, I ate up. The character work was phenomenal. Like, we got so much more lore to every single one of our characters. They are not just there for the sake of being like background for Violet and Xaden. Speaking of the both of those, their communication improved drastically from Iron Flame, and me as a reader, I enjoyed seeing this progress. I enjoyed experiencing this progress with my main characters of the book. I really don't know if I can support any hate for this book, and not because like, oh, this is my favorite series. It is one of my favorite series. It cemented my love for reading as an adult in my late 20s. I am having so much fun even thinking about the story. I think that mainly people that are complaining that these books are bad are people that read these books very lazily. And I definitely don't mean it as an insult, but if you're just reading this book for the sake of the story, I understand how some of the things in the book can irritate you. But if you're in it for the long run, and if you're genuinely interested in solving every single riddle that like the author throws at you, I know you love this book. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about this book without spoiling the actual book, but just know that I loved it. It's an automatic 5-star. I enjoyed every single page, and I can't not wait that we're not getting the 4th one until what? 2027. The last book that I read in the month of January, my 7th book, my lucky 7th book, was The Favorites by Lane Fargo. Now please tell me, why is this random new release that I've never heard of, just like 1 or 2 videos on TikTok, became my absolute favorite romance book so far? It's a story about 2 young figure skaters, Katarina Shaw and her partner Heath Roca. They grew up together. They've seen some devastating things together, but they stayed together and they continued skating together. Katarina is very ambitious to the point where I thought that I'm going to DNF the book because she was so insufferable. I literally cannot read about her any second longer until I saw her growth, until I realized that she is a human, she makes mistakes, and she pays for them dearly. Until I realized how much passion Heath has not for figure skating, but for Katarina, and until I saw their dynamic on the page. Some people describe this book as a combination of Daisy Jones and the Six and Magnolia Parks. I have not read Magnolia Parks universe yet, so I can't say anything about that part, but 100% yes on Daisy Jones and the Six. It has an interview element in the book, and we're discussing the events of the past in the present, and that's how the story is like progressing in the book. So I know the audio version of the book will eat when it's released. So I can't wait for that because I will definitely be coming back to this book, rereading my highlighted moments, and I really want that audiobook to come out so I can listen to it as well. And there you have it. Those are all the 7 books that I read in the month of January. Like I said, I'm very proud of myself for actually staying consistent and reading consistently, and I'm very happy to share these books with you guys because I think, in my humble opinion, that I had a pretty good reading month. Please let me know in the comments below what were some of your favorite books in January, and maybe some of them will make it to my February TBR. I love you guys so much. Thank you for staying till the end of this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!